You know, at times I get very frustrated. Not so much for me, but for what industry is doing to the population, to the citizens, to my friends, family, acquaintances, and strangers. And in this particular instance, I want to talk about one particular thing. And that's the way microwave ovens are being handled. What I mean by handling is how they're put into different appliances as a duo system with a stove, or how contractors go through and build a built-in for a microwave oven and put it in the worst possible place for safety purposes that they could ever choose. This deserves a good talk about. Hello anyone, I'm Scott Payne. They call me the old farmer. Microwave ovens. Now they're a pretty simple design. And the history of it is basically they figured out microwave ovens back in the remote days of broadcasting back in the 30s when radio stations would do a microwave relay from a remote location. And it took time, because it was all tubes, to set everything up the way it's supposed to be. So the engineers would get there plenty of time to set everything up, and then they just kind of sit there and wait for the clock to catch up with them. In other words, they might have everything finished up within an hour's time, but they went out to have enough time in case there was a problem that they'd have time to fix it. So quite often they're sitting around doing nothing, reading a book or whatever. And it got to the point where sometimes they like to take along a meal to eat. And one of the things that they did, they brought along uncooked hot dogs. Uncooked meaning like they are today, not raw like a roast or something. And they would stick them on the horn of the microwave that's going back to the station. Well, that would kind of mess up the frequency response and getting the signal to the station, but that's okay. They just told the station, hey, we're going to cook some hot dogs on the microwave, and that'll be a few minutes. Don't worry about it. They'll be fine when we take the hot dogs down. So they would heat up their hot dogs and have hot dogs for a meal. And this went on for quite a while. And then other people kind of realized, hey, we could actually cook something using microwaves. So after the war, they started fooling around with it for commercial cooking purposes to use microwaves. And then later on, the first microwave ovens were probably about the size of a refrigerator. And then they kept getting them smaller and smaller, and late 60s, early 70s, they started to be the size that a home could have. But they were still pretty big. And you could only be an FCC licensed technician, or as quite often said, broadcast engineer with at least a first or second class license to work on the microwaves, because they were emitting a signal. And therefore they wanted it, first of all, to be qualified people working on it. And then later on they got the modular systems in place where they didn't have to worry about it, and you no longer had to have a license to repair a microwave oven. The code at the time, as I understand it, was that the United States set up the emissions that could leak out to be 3 milliwatts per square centimeter. That's how much leakage. At the same time, the old Soviet Union had 3 microwatts. Look up the difference between mil and micro with what the differences are. You're going to be quite surprised. And as a way of turning out product quickly, Burger King would go through and make their Whoppers and then throw them in the microwave oven for a couple of minutes, 60 seconds, whatever the time is, to heat things back up again so it's piping hot going out to the customer. Good idea. Except for some reason, the teenagers were getting a lot of glaucoma and eye problems, and it was not looking good. So after quite a bit of research, what they did is they found out that the leakage in the microwave ovens were causing eye problems, physical eye problems with these teenagers that are putting the sandwiches together. So Burger King, being a responsible business, took out all the microwaves. In fact, I don't know if you could even see a microwave oven for personal use at a Burger King restaurant. There may be back in the staff lounge or something, but they sure aren't out in the prep area. And at the same time, the other fast food industries realized the same thing. It's get rid of them. Because they had the microwave ovens at eye level. So you just walk along, you open it up, pop the sandwich in, close the door, hit the button for the appropriate amount of time. When it's done, ding, you pull your sandwich out, packaged it up, and handed it over to the customer. So what are stove and range, kitchen stoves and ranges, what are they doing when you buy a combo? They put that cotton pick and microwave right at eye level. Worst possible place. Why? Because the eye is very, very sensitive. In essence, what's happening is you're cooking the eye with the leakage. Now, back when microwaves first came out, as I said, the leakage, acceptable leakage rate was 3 milliwatts per square centimeter as the maximum. They've raised that to 5 milliwatts now. They are allowing more leakage out of a microwave. Here's the difference, why it's extremely dangerous. Well, you have a regular stove, let's say an electric stove, keep it simple. You turn the stove on, you put your hand on the burner, you know it's cooking your hand. And you remove your hand as quickly as possible. And then usually you river dance for a while until your hand cools down. But you don't know what's happening with the microwave oven. You don't feel anything. It's a delayed effect. And it's very dangerous. Now, should we get rid of our microwave ovens? Of course not. We don't need to do that if we use some common sense things to do. The first thing to do is get that microwave oven down away from your eyes. Put it on the countertop. And in some instances, I got some general contractors to change the way they do microwaves. They put it below countertop level, just below it. So it'd be shoved right up to the bottom of the countertop for the microwave. Very safe location for it, with these caveats. If you don't have a heart conditions, or if you don't have a pacemaker, you should be fine. But if you do have these considerations, stay 3 feet away from it while it's operating. In fact, it'd be best if you had someone else turn it on for you, and the only time you come near it is after the cooking is done. It's a safe appliance to use if you understand the risks. Now, in our previous home, we had it scraped back to the walls and came back out with a remodeling. And the contractor did a very good job. He was the one that I taught never put a microwave at eye level. And we had quite a few arguments about it. He wanted to put an installed microwave at eye level. And it finally got to the point is we have 2 options. You can either do it the way that I say, or you're done and you're out of here. Because safety counts. And I'm not going to put a microwave oven where it's dangerous. And I brought out all the statistics and the technical things, much more than what I did here. And explained and showed him what's going on. And I said, do you want to be responsible for causing health issues in individuals because you put your microwave oven in the wrong place? And being a very conscientious and cares a great deal about the well-being of his customers, switched around and started putting microwave ovens in safe locations if they're built in. Now, if you can see in our location, it's right next to our refrigerator. And after we turn it on, we tend to stay 3 feet back. Not that we have any health issues whatsoever dealing that will be affected by a microwave oven. It's just a safety precaution. Stay 3 feet away when it's done. Or if we have to turn something in the middle of a cooking period, we quickly run up, hit the stop button, do the change, hit the start, and step away quickly. So we're using common sense, extra precautions by staying away from the microwave oven while it's operating. Now here's a little hint. Microwave ovens have turntables in them, most of them. I refuse to buy a microwave oven that does this. Well, you can take it out and have a turning spindle while it's turning, just the spindle turning without the turntable. I would rather have the magneto, that's the antenna part of the microwave, the part that actually radiates a microwave down into the box, have that rotating. And they know how to do it without losing power or overwhelming the system. It can be done safely, and it rotates a magnetron over the top of the box. So the signal, the cooking signal, rotates through the box. Now, I've never found a round chicken, cylinder-shaped chicken. Or a casserole dish is usually rectangle. Why would I want to adapt my tools to fit a deficiency that is a turntable in a microwave oven? So there's a Panasonic one that we bought. Lipton used to have, when Lipton owned Amana, I believe it was that way around, not Amana owned Lipton, but when Lipton owned Amana, they had one that didn't have a turntable, a magnetron rotated. And it did a very good job. So when it was time to replace it, and it was a very well designed, that microwave oven lasted us close to 30 years. It was very expensive at the time, but it was built like a tank. It weighed about 30 pounds. It was a heavy microwave oven. Did a good job. But they didn't make the parts for it anymore. I couldn't keep rebuilding it. So got a Panasonic. I'll put the Panasonic model number of the one that we're using that doesn't have the turntable in it, if you want to go this way. I personally recommend it. I have very few problems. Occasionally I have to do a 90-degree rotation on something cooking in it. Most times I don't. Very seldom do I, put it that way. And it does a good job. So the thing that I want to get across to you, those who use a microwave oven, countertop or lower, if you have one that's mounted above your stove, your range, stay 3 feet away from it at all times because it's aiming it right in your eyes. And you can tell that there's a substantial allowance that's been allowed from 3 milliwatts to 5 milliwatts. You don't have to understand what a milliwatt is, but you can 3 to 5, almost 50% more. So if you can, countertop or below countertop for your microwave oven. And even there, it's not a bad idea to stay 3 feet away while it's operating, because you don't know what's going on. And if you think you're going to go out and get one of those leakage strips to put on your microwave, they're absolutely worthless. They're not accurate like the ones that they use for temperatures on kids. These are very inaccurate. You really need an expensive piece of equipment with outboard antennas that you go around where any place that it could leak, and you check the sides and the top and the bottom and the back and all that sort of stuff, one bit at a time, carefully. And I don't know if they've got any below $1,000 yet. Maybe they do. I haven't been tracking it, so I don't know. But I want to keep you safe. And I know how to keep you safe in this one area. And I hope you listen. Thank you for watching. And please be safe. We'd sure appreciate it if you could subscribe and leave a comment. You know how YouTube behaves. They won't believe you watched a video unless you leave a comment. Also, it would help if you ring the bell and do a thumbs up. As you know, if I find a good channel, I pass it on to you. So if you think it's appropriate, it would sure help if you passed us on to your closest 10,000 friends and family. But above all, give a helping hand to someone today. It's the best gift to give. It'll make you feel good too.
Don't forget to click like, subscribe, share, or ring the bell buttons on the Original Old Farmer channel. We enjoy reading the comments that you leave, and they do help the channel, so keep them coming. And once again, thank you for watching The Original Old Farmer.
The VFW National Home for Children, providing families of veterans and active duty military opportunities for growth and development in a nurturing community. Please consider a donation to help their children and families. I.C. Rhodes speaking.